I think as Jews, we're always looking for better times. Something should happen that things will be better. And the moment, the now, is very tough. This now is really tough because what's happening in the world, what's happening in our lives, makes us worried, makes us wish for a better future. But it's not just now, it's all the time. We're all the time trained that way. We were always trained that you got to dream for a better future and you could do anything you want. That's modern day training. Therefore, you never get to be happy with what you are and what you have. And then, of course, we have the psychology of being present in the moment. And you realize how important it is to be present in the moment. So you use being present in the moment as a technique to be more successful in the future. This shir should be Lizchus Malka Bas Naomi. So, Lizchut Malka Bat Naomi. So, Malka Bas Nechama, I'm sorry. So, we here are trying to use a technique, right, to be happy in the moment in order to get to a better future. But really, at the end of the day, we just want something to happen. Like now, we want something should happen, and if something happens, whatever Hashem can figure out, he's pretty good at that, then it'll be good. So what is that, and how do we get there, and what are we supposed to be doing? We're waiting. We're like in this waiting game, looking for something to happen that's going to transpire and going to take us out of our space. What if we could learn how to discover the true beauty of the moment and discover that there's no such thing as a better future. There's no such thing as that one day it'll be great. It will, but you don't need to wait for that one day. You already have that one day here and now. And what I want to do is take a look at a story that takes place in the Chumash. It's one of those very delicious stories. And it's not a story. I mean, it's being transmitted to us in story format, but it's not a story. It's really a life lesson. And what we're going to do is take a look at the characters and discover each character in our life and how they react and how they handle themselves, and through that understand an insight how we can live our lives in a better way. So the story, as we know it, is that Avraham Avinu was looking for a shidduch, and he needed a wife for his son, for Yitzchak. So he sends his servant Eliezer. Eliezer goes all the way to Aram, and his goal is to find a servant the servant's goal is to find a wife for Yitzchak. So Eliezer is like, what should I do? How should I figure this one out? And he comes up with a brilliant idea. He's like, Avraham is all about kindness, chesed. And so Hashem will help me, because Avraham promised him Hashem will help you. Hashem will guide you. Hashem has always guided me. Hashem will guide you. I promise you'll see miracles all the way. Great. So he's trying to create the miracle. So what does he do? He goes to the place where the well, the place where all the shepherds are gathering. That's where he's going to meet people. And he stands up there and he says, okay, so I have 10 camels. Any girl who come out and offer to give water to myself and the camels, that's the one, right? Well, to myself, and then she offers to the camels also. So he stood by and he said, whoever wants to offer me water, that's the one. And she said, I won't just offer you, I'll also offer your camels. That's what Rivka said when she came out. So he stands by, and suddenly, as soon as he finishes the request of Hashem, Vehinei Rivka yotzet, Rivka's coming out. So what he was doing was he was standing on the spring. Hinei anochi nitzav alein hamayim, ve'haya alma yotzet lishov. The girl who comes out to draw water, Ve'amarti elea ashkinina, I'll tell her, give me some water. And she'll say, I'll give you the water. That's the one. Rivka comes out. V'nei Rivka yotzet. Ve'kada al shichma. She's carrying her jug on her shoulder. And she comes out, and he says, can you give me some water? She says, sure. Not just for you, for all your camels. And she starts giving me water. It's just tremendous chesed. And ever since then, Jews have this issue with chesed. We don't know how to stop doing chesed. It is quite insane sometimes. I was in hospital visiting someone the other day, and I spent quite a few hours there. And I went to get him stuff from the Kocholim room. And it's actually quite mind-boggling. But there's so much food and all different types and everywhere, and it's like, yeah, just take. And then it's like, yeah, but take some more. And Jews are a bit insane in that. That's from Amami Rivka. So Rivka offers everything, and then it says that he says, okay, that's the one. And Rivka draws the water from the well, and then as a result of that, she becomes the wife of Yitzchak. That's the snapshot of the story. Now, what we're going to do is, I know it's an exciting story, but we're going to take a look at it in life, in our own lives, and what it has to do with us and how it affects us and who we are. Here's what happens to us typically in life. Because we look to a better future, so therefore we have a problem with the present. Now, we are all born we're emotional beings. Some are a little bit less emotional, some are a little more emotional. All of us have hyper emotions. And therefore we go Meshuggah. It's like if you didn't have emotions and you just handled things objectively, wouldn't life be so simple? You'd just be like, okay, just that happened and I reacted that way and I did that and finished. But the way life happens, it's all emotional. And so what we do is we jump from one emotion to the next. Now, emotions carry us to all different directions. It's like right emotions, left emotions, and center emotions. The right one is when you're overexcited about something. The left one is when you're over anxious about something. And then you center yourself in the middle. And that's how life is. Now, all this is because we don't know how to handle whatever is happening in the present moment. Right? So think about it this way. We have an animal inside of us. Because each one of us as Jews is comprised of two souls. A godly soul, a divine soul, and an animal soul. And the two of them are at war with each other. So there's this animal soul, and the animal is instinctive. It's not a bad animal, it's just an animal. So it wants whatever it needs to get. So like I'm in survival mode. So therefore, something happens and you scare me. There's anti-Semitism in the world. I'm anxious over whatever's going on. And then I'm excited when things happen this way, and I'm jumping from one emotion to the next. And you see the lack of equilibrium and this lack of dissonance that we find ourselves in. It's always like imbalance. That's what we are. We're imperfect creatures, and we are in an imbalance. Okay? What's it called if you put a bunch of emotions and you figure out how to get them together? If your animals, meaning your right side emotions, your left side emotions, your center emotions are able to function together. What? What's it called? Balance. Right. But if you're a farmer and you put a bunch of animals together and you're able to, right, farmers know that this is back in the day when they used animals to farm with. So one ox is powerful. But imagine you can have a team of oxen. Multiple together. Like 3 or 4. You know what that's called in Hebrew? A team of 3 or 4 oxen? That's called a rivka. Rivka means a team of animals. That's the Hebrew word for it. Right? So that's our first character. Rivka is when we successfully activate our emotions and control them so that they operate like a team. So we want to know how to do that. Rivka cannot do that, and she's not considered a mother, a matriarch, until she marries Yitzchak. Okay, now enter Yitzchak. Who's Yitzchak? Why is he named Yitzchak? For the laughter. So then why is he called Yitzchak and not Tzchok? Because when he was born, they said, Tzchok asali Elokim. Hashem made me laugh. So then his name should have been Tzchok, laughter, not Yitzchak, which is future laughter. So let's understand what the laughter is. Laughter is really delight. There's a psychology of laughter, right? When do people laugh? When do people have delight and entertainment? If things are normal, then you don't laugh. When do you laugh? If I say, something's out of proportion, the pink elephant, right? So I say, I put on the table salads and meat and there was fish and there was an elephant. It's the unexpected, the elephant in the room. You only laugh when things are not normal. Nobody ever goes to look at a child talking. Like when you see a parrot and the parrot is speaking, everyone stands around. The parrot's pretty actually, primitive in his conversation. He actually doesn't understand anything, but everybody stands around to see this parrot speaking, and he says, hello, how are you? And he doesn't know how to say that, but he's saying the words. When a little child starts to speak and he utters his first word, everyone jumps for joy. We're taking films and videos and sending it to all the bobbies and zadies, and everyone should see exactly what the child says. And then the older child sits there and he says, watch, I can do this much better. And he's already a 7-year-old. And then you're like, yeah, of course. But it's not interesting. Why is it not interesting? Because there's no chidush. Because laughter always comes from the unexpected. Expected doesn't create laughter. It's expected. It's normal. Delight, entertainment, laughter comes from the unexpected. So Hashem has different beings who serve him. There's malachim, there's angels who serve Hashem. Angels are lovely, delightful beings. But they're not delightful actually, they're lovely beings. Angels are holy beings. Probably much holier than humans are. But humans are the ones who cause Hashem to laugh. Because it's unexpected. Because if you put a neshama, a being into this world, you don't expect them to actually find Hashem. You expect them to get enticed by the vanities of this world. And when they turn to God, that's exciting. So there are two names by which Hashem is known. One is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and the other one is Elokim. As the Pasuk says in Tehillim, Ki Shemesh u'Magen Hashem Elokim. Shemesh is the sun. What's Magen? Magen is the shield. If you were to experience the sun, you couldn't exist. So what does Hashem do? He covers the sun with a shield. So there's two names of Hashem. One is the name of Hashem, the revelation. The other one is the cover-up. The name of Hashem is called Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. The cover-up is called Elokim. Hence, the name Elokim is the numerical value of 86, which is Hateva, nature. So when you see Hashem, you're seeing Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. When you don't see Hashem, you're still seeing Hashem, but you're not aware that you're seeing him. That's called Elokim. Everything is Hashem. Everything happens by divine providence, by Hashgacha Pratis. When you see it, and you see a revelation of God, that's called Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. That's the sun in all its might, shining. When you don't see it, that's Elokim. Everything is God, but it's a different name. It's Elokim. So you're seeing nature, and you don't see the revelation. When Yitzchak is born, what do we say? Tzchok asali Elokim, Sarah said. She's like, I much prefer to have a revelation of God, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. I like that better, but I must admit that delight entertainment, excitement doesn't come about from Yud Kei Vav Kei. It only happens through Elokim. Because if it's expected and you have a revelation of God, there's no excitement. Excitement is Elokim, unexpected, nature, when you're disconnected. So what's interesting about this is that when we don't see Hashem, when Hashem is hiding from us and we have to find Him, we are causing Him much more delight than ever before. The less you see God and the more you have to look for Him and discover Him, that's you're being like a parrot. You're being like a little child learning how to speak. You don't see God and you're looking for Him and you're finding Him. That's exciting. That's tzchok asali Elokim. Which means, in the age-old question, why do bad things happen to good people? The answer is, as we know, we don't know. But when bad things happen to good people, what good people know is what they need to do, which is look for Hashem more, not less. Because if you look for Him and you seek Him and you really try hard to find Him, what's going to happen? You're going to find Him more. Right? So that's the tzchok asali Elokim. When you don't see Hashem and you find Him, it's much more exciting. You know, there's a lot of Hasidic Maisis that always told stories of Hasidic stories. And a Hasidic story is one where someone you find the fire is ignited somehow in the soul. What I discovered is that lately, the last month, there's been so many Hasidic stories going on, and they're real Hasidic stories, meaning it's a neshama on fire. And you discover, and you say, when did it happen? And it happened in Tafshin Pei Dalet in 2023. And it happens now. And they're all over the place because the Yiddish neshama is now on fire more than anywhere else. So a guy posted, one of my brothers posted a clip on the family chat. And he says, okay guys, this gives you what to speak about on Shabbos. And what's the clip about? So this guy, he looks like he's an older guy. And he gets on, he says, I'm not religious at all, never been religious. My kids all became religious through Rav Pinto. And they're all connected and everything, but they all come tell me, you got to keep Shabbat, you got to keep this. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested in anything. He's like, now the war broke out. And now he's sitting in the Ulpan, right? The Ulpan is this Israeli television. So there's 4 people sitting around. There's a guy interviewing. I don't know who the 2 others were, and then there's him telling the story. The clip is just of him telling the story. And I just know when I see that, I always expect he's real leftist, because only a few years ago, one of those interviews was my brother's a doctor in Petach Tikva, so he puts tefillin and everyone walks in because he's a hand surgeon. So when your hand surgeon is about to do surgery on you and asks you to put on tefillin, you don't say no. So the Israeli Channel 13 came in and they hid a camera, and they got a guy who put on film his first time in his life just to prove that the doctor was doing something which is archaic. And then they warned him that it's going to be aired on Channel 13 at 7 p.m. on the primary news, that everyone's going to find out that you put tefillin on people. So that's what I think about when I watch these shows. Anyway, the guy's telling the story, and he says, so my children are telling me about that we should be mitchazek all the time and you got to strengthen yourself, and I'm totally uninterested. He says he's divorced, but he's very close with his brother-in-law, and his children are cousins. And what happened was, one of the cousins was taken hostage. She was a soldier. She's taken hostages. So he says, I'm sitting with my kids, and they're talking to me about everything. And then I went over to the cousins, and we're sitting over there. And I told my brother, my kids, whatever. And I said to my kids became religious, only my kids, as I told them, you know what? Hashem used to make miracles for us. And back in the day, He made these incredible miracles. So I get that Hashem used to make miracles, but nowadays there are no miracles. It doesn't happen. So they said, yes, they are. And Hashem can still do it. You can still see Hashem. He says, I'll make you a deal. You guys are all asking me about keeping mitzvot. I here announce in front of everyone over here, I'm going to start keeping Shabbat if Ori is freed. That's what he said. He's like, okay, and he's in front of everyone, he announces that Ori is free. And then he's like, the next day, they call me up, Ori's home. And he's like, what? and like, he's like, I came over, and I'm in there, and he's like, and Ori was home. And I'm like, they said to me, why didn't you say that about all of them, all the hostages? He's like, I should have said about all of them. And he's like, you don't understand, like, Gilad Shalit was brought back after 5 years and 1,027 murderers, and God knows what happened with that. And here she just came back the next day, and I'm like, and she's there, and she's home. So the guy asked him, no, keeping Shabbat, it's very difficult, it's very hard. He's like, I don't know, man. I was talking about revelation of Hashem, and I never see God. And they're like, I don't know. He says, I'm in. I'm going to keep Shabbat for the rest of my life because Hashem just listened to me. So honestly, I was like, listen to that part, and I wasn't so impressed because the next part's what impressed me. I wasn't impressed because the guy's a Sephardi. And I don't know what a non-from Sephardi is. I don't buy into the concept. They're not, like, the Sephardim, even when they're not from, yeah, I always remember, like, walking on Dizengoff Street, and we were putting tefillin on everybody, and, Tel Aviv, and there was a Sephardi guy, and he's on the other side of the street, and I'm walking, I have my tefillin in my hands, I was a bocher, and they open, because I'm going from one place to another, putting on tefillin, and he calls the other side, Rabbi, 1 second, and he comes over, and he runs from the other side of the street all the way, and he comes in, and he takes the tefillin, and says, I have no time to put on tefillin, but just give me the tefillin, and he takes the tefillin, and he goes, take them back and go. But then the interviewer, he looks much more Ashkenazi, like angry. He says, I need to do something. I never do this. He's like, hold on. And he says, he takes off his microphone, and he gets up and he says, I'm sorry, you just, I'm going to do something out of protocol over here. And he says, my heart, which is very, very, very a stone heart, I'm just very blown away by what just happened over here. And he walks over to him and he just gives him a big bear hug. Wow. And I was like, wow, that's power, right? That's the power of tzchok asali elokim. That's when you don't see Hashem and suddenly you find him in those incredible moments. And it's the contrast that makes it exciting, right? It's exciting to see that. It's unbelievable to see that. That's tzchok asali elokim. It doesn't happen if you have revelation of God all the time. If you're sitting and learning Torah all day long, you don't see Hashem like you do when Hashem is hiding. Why is it called yitzchak and not tzchok? Because we don't have full access to that delight. Not now. Not until Mashiach comes. When Mashiach comes, then we will have full access to the excitement and delight that's in store for us. So when the revelation of Mashiach happens, that's when Az Yimales Chok Pinu Uleshoneinu Rina. Then we will be able to say, now we can truly laugh. Because now we look back at history and we say, that was incredible what you did, Hashem. Like you were hiding and you were just there the whole time, and it was just like, wow. That was unreal, and we'll be blown away. Nowadays, we get a little bit of laughter, but we're not really laughing. It's exciting, but it's not fully exciting. Tzchok asali elokim, but it's really only a yitzchak one day. So here we are, and we say, okay, so, we have different types of trainings. One is that we get trained that there's Gan Eden. And right now life is tough, but there's Gan Eden. Don't worry, you'll get there and then you'll get your reward, right? And that's so sad. Gan Eden is a very sad thing to have. You know why it's sad? Because everyone has to die to get there. And who wants to do that? Like, we don't want Gan Eden. So we're like, yeah, but there's a better way than Gan Eden, and that is Tchiyat Amitim. We can have Mashiach come, and then we'll be right here, and we'll see the revelation of Hashem in this world. So we get taught that in this world, you'll discover the beauty of Hashem. But even when you say this can happen in this world, at the end of the day, do you see how it doesn't answer my question? Because me, in this present moment, I'm having a difficult time. So what happens to us Jews is we have a lot of emunah. We believe in a better future. We have bitachon. We're confident that Hashem will save us and things will be good. Like nobody, no Jew has a doubt that Jews are going to be around in 1,000 years' time. No one has a doubt. But what's the doubt? The doubt is, what about me? What's going to happen to me as an individual? I don't know about that. And that's the scary part. So even if we believe that one day we'll have a revelation of Gan Eden or of Mashiach, or whichever one you're going to have, but right now we jump around. So you believe in God, but you're uncomfortable in the moment. Put your Yitzchak at the forefront. Realize, number one, that the best thing for each one of us, the best thing, is when you get to see Hashem. When Hashem is revealed in this world, the delight, and get to realize that the best place to be is this world. But now Yitzchak is futuristic. Yitzchak has to get married. In order for this to work, we have to bind and connect the two parts of who we are. So there's the upper self of who we are, the godly soul, which realizes this is a great place to be in. But then there's the Rivka. Rivka is a bunch of animals. And the animals are, look at your own condition and watch yourself and how you jump and you're unsettled and uncomfortable. You know, by the way, the other day I was davening and I just don't know, there was nothing going wrong in my life that day. Everything was perfect. Yeah, sometimes happens. And I was trying to daven and I realized it was very hard to daven because everything was good, right? And I was trying to find and it didn't really work. What I find is an interesting thing, that the observation is the opposite, that when I'm feeling like worried, scared, anxious, upset, depressed, all those kind of things, I daven better. Because I walk into davening and I'm like, I got something to bring. There's an animal. When you have animals, you can ride on an animal. Try go places without the animal. You can't get anywhere. That's why it says in next week's parsha, Vehine Yitzchak mitzachek et Rivka ishto. Simple story is that Avimelech looks from the window and he sees Yitzchak and Rivka, who had told him that they're brother and sister, behaving like a husband and wife. By the way, I don't think he saw any more than like there was a little show of love that he saw, like a wink or something to that effect. And he realized this is not a brother and sister, they're husband and wife. The deeper story of that is that Yitzchak can only find Vehine Yitzchak metzachek. You want the laughter to come out of Yitzchak? It only comes about when he's married to Rivka Ishtoi. It comes about through Rivka. You can't get true delight with Hashem. You can't find Hashem for real until you don't discover your own problems and your own animals and your own jumping around. So here's how it works. Most of us believe that when we have an animal in our lives, the animal is essentially, I want something to happen. It's not happening. There's someone in my sphere, a family member or someone at work, who's bothering me. And I believe that if they go away or if they become normal or something happens to them, then I will solve the problem. So what happens is, in the meantime, I'm going to jump and be uncomfortable. And then you move from one emotion to another one and you're jumping around in your emotions. The reason you're jumping around and fretting and uncomfortable, you ever had that where you're like, it's called acting out. You ever discovered other people who act out, or when you act out, right? We all do it. And you're really mad. What do you want when you're really mad? What are you looking for when you're anxious and worried? Change means what? What? You think you're looking for a solution. You're not really. What you want is someone out there that you can scream at them and they don't budge. And they just stay like present. And they don't get scared because you jumped at them. It's like when a wife screams at her husband and then the screaming match comes and he starts screaming back because she doesn't understand what just happened there. I was screaming at you because I want you to strengthen it, absorb it, right? It's like when you have a prime minister and everyone's looking to him. He's supposed to be the strong guy. So yeah, everyone's screaming, we want the hostage back and the murder and the this and the that and you're a murderer and whatever, all the things people say when they're angry. He's not supposed to respond and say, you're blaming me? You think it was me? I didn't do it. It wasn't my fault. Or anything like that. What's he meant to say? What do the people want him to say? They want validation, basically. Nobody wants to say, I hear you, by the way. That's the wrong way to say it. You are heard. Right? Not I hear you. I don't care what you hear. It's like you want to say, yeah, it looks like this is a very, very difficult situation for you. It's very tough. Accept how tough it is. And then stand there and say, we're going to get through this with Hashem's help. Right? To stand by and give them the power. And when you do that, the people are like, that's a leader. Right? We don't do that. All of us find ourselves as leaders. Because when your child does it to you, child calls you up and he's like, I'm really don't want to tell you this because I crashed the car and I don't want to tell you, but I don't have anyone else to tell, so I'm going to tell it to you. And then, and you're like, whoa, so you basically don't want to talk to me? The child's just looking to act out and for someone to be there firm and present and stand by and accept and absorb the emotions. If you can do that to yourself, and you could, and be there for yourself, then instead of being a bunch of animals together, you become a Rivka. And that's the goal. The goal is to realize you don't need to solve the problem because Hashem solves problems. You don't solve problems. And all you need to do is accept that Hashem is right there. Here's what happens. The story is, so Eliezer is coming on behalf of Yitzchak. He's a messenger of Avraham. So where does he go? He stands by the well. You know what the well is made of? Well is spring water. It's very, very counterintuitive because spring water comes from the dirty dust ground. And you would think that it'll be dirty. If you pick water up from the ground is dirty. And you say, look, proof in the pudding. If you have mud in water, would you drink it? No. But you know what? Poland Springs, which you pay for, where does it come from? Where does it say it comes from? Officially, from a spring. Because the dirtier the water, the purer. That's strange. So there's two types of water. There's water that runs above the ground. That could actually be murky. We want that water, but really, the water that's beneath the ground is the one you go for. So if you look at the ground and the dust and the dirty things that are happening in your life, look at yourself in the moment and say, okay, there's a challenge going on. This is real stuff, by the way. In other words, I know with many people here we've discussed like actual situations, and I'm thinking about certain situations that have been discussed over here, and I'm like, okay, apply it to that. Look at a situation that you're going through and look at it as dirty. It's horrible what I'm going through. And stop trying to solve the problem because you'll never solve it. For years and decades, people go through trying to solve a problem. They never get solved. What do? Eliezer stands by the river, by the well, and he says, Hinei anochi nitzav al ein hamayim. What does a Jew think about when he thinks about the word anochi? I'm standing on the well. Anochi is standing on the well. Anochi is Hashem. Where there's dirty water, where there's dirt, I should say, there's also pure water. The absolute purity stems in the moment that you're in now. So what you want to do is stand by and notice that. You say, there's a Yitzchak. Yitzchak means delight. What's the greatest delight of Hashem? When something which is not and disconnected becomes connected. If Hashem could solve that problem, that will be awesome. That's the Yitzchak, and the representative of Yitzchak is Eliezer. And Anoichi is Al Ein Hamayim. As soon as he says that, what happens? What's the next pasuk? He stands there and he says, I'm standing on the water. Not I is Hashem. Hashem is in the spring, which means when there's dirt, there's the purest water going to come out of it. In the most difficult situation that you're in is Anoichi. The first thing is to start and believe that, and accept that where there's challenges is the most divine spot ever. Next step, Vehine Rivka Yotzet. Rivka comes out. Where's she coming out of? Rivka lived with a bunch of really bad people. You discover afterwards who she was living with. Her father was Besul. He was trying to kill him and, to kill Eliezer. And Lavan, with all the story which happened later on, she was in a bad family. And she gets out of it. She starts looking at things in a new light. That's what you want to do. Vehine Rivka Yotzet. You want to look at the situation that you're in, and you say, okay, the way I look at it is, I'm in an abusive situation. Something is going on that's abusive, and it's not good. And so I'm the whole time trying to get out of it. How do I get out of it? You can't get out of it. You know what you do? You turn to Hashem and you say, Hashem, I'm realizing that everything you do is designed to find a divine spark, a Yitzchak in this impossible position, which we all go through on some level. And you're looking for the Yitzchak. What do you do afterwards? You start rethinking, rehashing the situation that you're in. Ve'inei Rivka Yotzet. Get out of the position that you're in and allow Hashem's presence into your life. The way to do it is by being a Rivka. And what does it mean, a Rivka? It means you put all your feelings together and you get them to flow like a team. Okay? Because there's something called the Merkava. You ever heard of the Merkava? Merkava means nowadays a Merkava is an Israeli tank. But a Merkava is a chariot. So Yechezkel Hanavi speaks about the Merkava. The Merkava is a bunch of animals that carry the Shekhinah. It's metaphorical. There's angels. There's Michael on the right, Gabriel on the left. And they're carrying the Shekhinah. There's different angels who carry. So it's a lion on the right, an ox on the left, and then there's an eagle in the middle. And what that means is that the Shekhinah, Hashem, can only be carried on angels. What are the angels? Feelings. So what you want to do is look always at the moment and look at the feelings that you have. Most people, by the way, think that this is like some foreign language. Because we want to solve a problem, not find the feelings in the problem. Like, where do you want to find the feelings? But try this out. Try it a couple times and see if it does anything for you. That means instead of trying to solve the problems, just discover the feelings that you're having in the problem. Don't solve it. Look for the experience of what is going on in the moment. And you'll see that you are feeling a lot of feelings. There's lion type feelings, there's ox type feelings, and there's eagle type feelings, which means sometimes you're feeling excited, that's on the right side, chesed. Sometimes you're feeling anxious, that's on the left side, gvura, and sometimes you're in the middle. And what you want to do is align them all with Hashem. Talk to God, and you say, Hashem, I cannot solve anything. What I'm going to do now is allow you to ride on the animal. Because animals are designed as a Merkava to ride the Shekhinah. It's very Kabbalistic. We're learning Kabbalah now. You know how you learn Kabbalah? You take the feeling, and you allow Hashem to ride on the feeling. That's Kabbalistic. But try it out. It's also psychological. You feel your anxiety, and then you talk to Hashem, and you say, Hashem, this anxiety, I'm not running away from it, because you gave it to me. So I'm embracing it. Thank you, Hashem, for the anxiety. I'm not going to ask you to not feel anxiety. I'm feeling anxiety. And Hashem, you gave it to me, and you're taking care of me in the anxiety. What else are you feeling? Any one of those feelings, you allow Hashem to ride you. Slowly what you discover is that your animals are aligned with Hashem. Because any baby who's crying needs a mother who's going to embrace them and tell them, Bubala, it's okay. That doesn't mean she takes away the problem. She doesn't. She just gives them a hug. That's all we need. Feel the feelings and then allow Hashem to run over, to allow Hashem, saying, Hashem gave this to me, I'm going to accept it. I'm going to accept that it's okay to be with that feeling. And then you go forward, Hashem is with me. The Rivka, it says, can sometimes be 3 animals and sometimes 4 animals. 3 animals is when you have Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So feelings of Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferes. There's another 4th animal, which is David HaMelech. David HaMelech is the one who lets go all the time. He allows Hashem to be the Melech all the time. And so there's one key feeling that you want to add, and that is, you take the next step, and then you let go. It's like when you're looking for a shidduch, right? So, how do you look for a shidduch? You call a shadchan up, say, hey, I got this, young lady, and this is the story, and I'm looking for a shidduch, right? You are calling the shadchan for one reason. For one reason, because Hashem wants you to do something, to pretend like you're doing something. So you do it, you call for real. Knowing that the shidduch is not going to come from this shadchan or from this call. So there's no pressure on this call at all. Why am I making this call? Because Hashem said to make calls to shadchanim when you want a shidduch. If you want to get money, you call someone up and you ask them for the money, for the sale, knowing that they're not the ones who are going to give it to you, necessarily. But I need to make the call, and then I let go. You do, and you let go. You act, and you let go. You see, it's 4 experiences. All 4 hold the chariot. Those are the chariot that hold Hashem. So in other words, if you want Hashem to be present in your life, you have to allow Him to ride on you. That's what it means to be a Merkava. You're the Merkava. To allow Hashem to ride on you is hard work. Sometimes we think we're from, so I already know all the stuff. It's hard work to be from. It means taking a feeling. That feeling, Hashem is riding on it. That feeling, Hashem is riding on it, the middle, and you let go. Make sense? Tough to do. When you do that, it means like this. When you're davening and you're anxious, and you say, I'm scared of dying, and I'm scared of anti-Semitism, I'm scared of everything goes on, what you're asking Hashem for is to solve the problem. Right? So you're asking Hashem to take away the feeling. Yeah? Now, it's okay to ask Hashem to take it away. That you should do. But the next part is, you accept that if I'm feeling an anxiety right now, Hashem should ride on that anxiety. That means, don't run away from the anxiety. I don't want to feel anxious. I don't want to feel anxious. Why not? What's wrong with feeling anxious? So you sit down. Exactly. So it's accepting the feeling. I accept that you gave me this anxiety. It's okay to feel it. So I'm asking you to take it away, yes. And then I'm accepting that I'm asking you not to take it away. I'm asking you to solve the problem that I'm trying to solve. And then I'm feeling this anxiety. Hashem gave me the feeling of anxiety. So in my mind, such and such needs to happen for this problem to go away. No. You can daven for that, and then you say, but Hashem gave me this feeling right now. So you sit down and you relax, and you're like, wow, that's called empathizing with yourself. It's very hard. You're accepting it's really, really hard. I'm struggling. So I'm feeling a lot of whatever I'm feeling, right? And you accept the feeling, and then you allow Hashem to feel it. You allow Hashem to ride it. And Hashem, I know you're with me in the struggle. It's called Imoy Onoichi Betzara. Hashem says, I'm with you in the tzara. Don't only ask Hashem to take it away. I mean, you should. But it says, Ulechol b'nei Yisrael or b'moish v'yisam. They had light where they were. So Geula comes about when something happens in the future. But it also happens now. In fact, you know when Geula happens in the future? When you can bring it to happen now. There's this beautiful Vart I saw of Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditcheva, the Kedushas Levi. He says, I don't get, why did Hashem have to come over to Avram and Sarah and tell them you can have a baby in a year's time? Now, what's up with the telling them what's going to happen? Just give them the baby next year and finish. She'll figure out at some point she's pregnant, right? Why the anticipation? You have to tell them a year ahead, Hashem comes over and the 3 angels come in. Are you going to have a baby in the future? Interesting question, right? So he says, you know why? The Medrash says there that Le'olam Hashem dvarcha nitzav b'shamayim. Hashem's words are in the heavens. He says when Hashem said that they're going to have a baby, those words were in the heavens. He needed to bring it down to planet Earth, which was a bit of a problem because there was no way for Sarah to have a baby because she didn't have a womb, it says. Not she couldn't get pregnant. She didn't have the tool, the key. She did not, ein la beis vlad, she did not have a womb. So there's no way to have a baby. So how do you have a baby? What had to happen was Hashem's words in heavens. Hashem says there's going to be a baby. Okay, great. Now you know what Hashem needs? He needs Avram and Sarah to bring it down to earth. So he announces to them, you're going to have a baby. Now, I don't know how these announcements work. I've never had Hashem speak to me and tell me something's going to happen. But it doesn't work the way you think it is. And now, for sure, it's. And now they had to. They felt absolute delight knowing Hashem's going to give them a baby. So it's like when you go to a business deal and the guy's saying $100,000 and he says, I'm sending it now in the FedEx. It's in the check is in the mail. So what do you do now? You relax, right? Avram and Sarah, they were already very old. They were 90 and 100, in that baby. So he's like, no, but Hashem said, so it's done. That emunah and bitachon that they were absolutely confident it's going to happen, that's what made it happen. Because Hashem wants to be in partnership with us. So he puts us in this world and he tells us, you guys have the bitachon that's going to happen. That's why when it happens, it says, V'Hashem pakad et Sarah kasher amar, v'yas Hashem l'Sarah kasher diber. Which means Hashem remembered, but the word is pakad, because pakad is like deposited, right? He deposited his emunah with Sarah, and so then she became pregnant from that, and then it came out into the world of action. And so he says, every time it happens to us all the time. You have a dream of something you want to happen. That's Hashem speaking to you. In other words, you have a problem, and you dream of the problem being solved. You're like, yeah, when it gets solved, how will I feel? That's Hashem speaking to you. Because I don't have your dream, and you don't have my dream. My ambition, my dream is Hashem speaking to me. Hashem is revealing himself inside me, and he's saying, that's what you want. You know what you need to do next? Instead of fretting and worrying about how the dream's going to come about, how's it going to happen? Relax in the space of the dream. So I want to have good shalom bayis. I'm dying to have that. And when I have that, how will I feel? And it's not possible to get there. Just relax in that absolute feeling of what shalom bayis will look like. And start looking for where you already have it now. Because you have maybe 0.01% of what you want to achieve. But once in a while, you see that amazing thing. When you see it, instead of focusing on the 99% that's problematic, focus on the 1% that's unreal. And you say, wow, and you start seeing Hashem every little step of what's going on in your life. And what you start noticing is that your animals inside you allow Hashem to ride you. So I'm feeling this anxiety, and I'm like, okay, I'm really scared. Here's what happens, right? I want such and such to happen. So if that happens, I'll be happy. Till then, I'm really anxious. And when we go, the whole life you can spend that way, because how else do you think it's going to work? But if you want to feel one way, say, okay, I'm feeling the anxiety, and I'm allowing Hashem to ride on that anxiety. I'm accepting it. And I'm accepting that it's going to be amazing. And I'm accepting that it's already amazing. And I'm looking for when I see proof that it's amazing. And every time I find it, I start jumping for joy. And other people look at you, they say, you're insane because most of your life is problematic. It's like now, right? Are we going to win this war? Yeah, are we going to win this war? How do you know? Look at what's happening in the Jewish world. You could decide. I saw this beautiful piece from the Rav of Modi'in, Rav in Shul Modi'in, and his community is in the middle of the war. He's like, this is how he starts his voice now. And he says, we all have, we all have children or spouses or someone who's out on the battlefront right now. And it's very hard to accept. And I want you to know that when you're thinking about all the things that could go wrong, you're causing damage. Start thinking about all the things that are going right and focus on those things. See what it means to allow Hashem to ride on you? It means allow Hashem, accept that Hashem is with you at this moment. That's called Rivka, your animal, marrying Yitzchak. So we have two ideas in our lives. The idea is Yitzchak, the delight. This world's the best place to be in. It's unbelievable. It's exciting. It's Hashem revealed in this world. You don't see it till one day, but realize how awesome everything going on is in this world. And that Yitzchak inside you, that emunah and bitachon and delight needs to marry the animal. That's Rivka. And Rivka is when you put all the animals together and you're going on a path and you're realizing that the dirt, that's where the water is. And so Rivka comes, and what does she do? She comes to the water, and she escapes all her other way of thinking, because she senses, in my life, not in tomorrow, in the current moment, in all the craziness that's going on right now, I'm going to feel each feeling and allow Hashem to come in. Rivka didn't for 1 second expect what happened next. She was just doing her thing. And what happened was so mind-boggling, and then she was married to Yitzchak like that, like nothing. What did she do? She took her jug on her shoulder. Kadar shichma. You know what the kad is? Kad is a jug, right? What else is a kad? Kad is 24. It's 24 books of the Torah. Where's the Torah being made? In the dirt, in the place where you are right now. That's where the Torah is being made. Rivka walks in and she carries her jug and she realizes you don't have to go somewhere else to be in the best place. You are in the best place. You're in the most unbelievable space there is. You're in one with Hashem. Hashem is right here in this very moment. We're not looking for a better future. We're looking for a better present. That means, but it's not good. Become a Rivka, get married to the Yitzchak. In other words, have the bitachon, have the emunah, allow your feelings to be present in that space, and notice the anoichi, and then the dirt will change into water. But how's it going to happen? I'm not God. That's why He's Hashem. And you watch how the miracles come about when He does that. And the geula comes about through the geula of the moment. Because if you allow the moment to be nigal, then the future gets nigal. And that's our avodah. Hard work of finding Hashem now.